Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today we're going to talk about the latest proposal, the proposal to revamp market fees and to try to squirrel away a certain amount of revenue that will end up into the DAO that ultimately might support some things that we're going to want as players, as users of this space, to be able to financially back without additional inflation. For instance, when SPS stops being printed, how are we paying for validator node operation? Taking 2% of a DAO royalty and setting it aside for future for a rainy day seems really smart, and I'm definitely a yes. More than that, other community members that are big are saying yes. We need to talk about why this is important, why I'm voting yes. But before we do, I want to get into thanking SplinterCoach for sponsoring this video. SplinterCoach is a website that you can visit, and if you do now, you'll receive 7 days worth of free data tracking. This is personalized data tracking that is going to tell you how many games you're playing with which monsters and which summoners, how often you're winning and losing, what partnerships are working and what aren't. And you can get very granular. You can look at specific rule sets or mana caps, and you can find things like this, anomalies that you need to be paying attention to. I'm playing Conquer Yasik all the time and I'm losing. 20 matches, 5 wins. Something's wrong. So maybe I'm playing the wrong monsters. Maybe I'm playing in the wrong rule sets. I can get in there, find out the data, and because of this tool, improve how I play, extract more reward from my time and attention, all while actually having fun analyzing the data. I love this stuff, and I think you will too. So be sure to check out SplinterCoach, and thank you so much for the sponsorship, guys. Have an amazing... Okay, let's get into it. So this is the new proposal. Let's pull it up on Splinterlands.com. Proposals. We're up to 64% yes and 36 no. We got 78 million saying yes, 44 million saying no. My 175,000, 176,000 are saying yes to this thing. I recently bought 69,000 SPS, and so that's why we pumped that puppy up way higher. I'm a firm yes on this because I think we definitely need to start beginning to recognize that SPS, although there's still several years left of it being created, minted, and given out to validator node operators, etc., one day it's coming to come to an end. And when it does, we need to have a plan in place where we will continue to support those validator node operators, because ultimately they're going to be a pivotal part of what makes Splinterlands, you know, the powerful and revolutionary video game that it is. The decentralized governance, the owner, the operating it from the decentralized system in that way is so important and so powerful, and we want to make sure that that's being funded. Otherwise, we have to think about inflation for SPS, because the node operators are going to get paid somehow. So do we save for a rainy day today through market fees, or do we just expect inflation in the future? So let's read the proposal. And we'll go right to the proposal core here before we go any deeper. This is what we'll read. The proposal. This proposal has 4 changes to the way the market protocol works. All 4 items will work in parallel to enhance the economy and incentives of the Splinterlands market. Number 1, set up a market fee to a fixed 6%. Cards, rentals, assets, land, etc. I think currently it's a 5%, and some markets will do they'll do lower or higher. But 5% is like, I think what Splinterlands does, I think what Peak Monsters does. And you can control these things on Peak Monsters, and I think you can on other markets also. But they're saying at every market, it'll be 6%. Then 2% of the market fee goes to the DAO. That's the key here. And we're talking significant money. Like last year and I think over the last 18 months, and you can pull this up. But you go into, if you go into Peak Monsters, you go into profile, and you can actually track how much annual buy sell account volume you have. Right now, over the last 12 months, I have only $5,400 US, but I had 60,000+ US the year prior. And so it is a rolling total. My point is that there are people out here who are spending significant money on this thing. And if there was a 2% fee, a 2% slice of that pie that was going into the DAO, that was ultimately improving, I think, the security, the options, and even the defensiveness, like against any sort of vulnerabilities. Like you can imagine one day us being sued by the SEC, whether it's Splinterlands or whether it's, and then the DAO actually funding lawyers to make something, you know, to co-defend something like that. Again, specifically, one of the main reasons why we would want to do this is to try and make sure that those validator node operators are being funded well beyond the SPS issuance date, or when the SPS is no longer being created. But there's all kinds of creative ways we could use that, and we would use it through votes because of the DAO. So this is important. We need to start thinking about rainy day. I'm really surprised that anyone's saying no to this, but let's carry on. 0.5% goes to the market, a user listed on, and 3.5% goes to the market, a user bought on. So this is interesting. Big slice of the pie goes to the market where the purchases are happening. Small slice of the pie goes to the market where the card was listed on. I guess that makes sense because listing is, you know, relatively easy, and then the sale is like essentially the best market that's attracting the most sales should receive the bigger slice of the pie. So I don't know if I entirely agree with these exact percentages, but I'm saying it makes sense to me that the market where the purchase occurs, they get a bigger piece than the market where the listing occurs. And then the 2% fee is absolutely has to happen. This is an increase in the fee, but I'm okay with that from 5% to 6%. I'm okay with that. I think we just, again, I'm like a major buyer, but I'm okay with this because I think we need to make this move. We need to start planning for that rainy day, whether it's the SPS or whether it's, you know, something we can't even imagine, but we just want to have funds in the DAO. And lastly, it goes when no market or invalid market UI is used for one of those operations, the amount will go up to the Splinterlands company, 5%. The amount will go to Splinterlands the company. This is important because it's a revenue stream to Splinterlands the company. What this is saying is if you're using, I don't even know how they do this, but I know that people can sell things without going into peak monsters and listing. It's like JSON coding or something. Like, I am so not on top of this stuff, but I know that it's possible to literally write a listing onto the code yourself. That's all Peak Monsters is doing. Like, Peak Monsters created a user interface whereby when I want to list a card, I click on Acid Shooter and I go over here and I go sell. This is all a user interface. Behind it is a code that is just connecting that sale to the blockchain. And that's all some bot operators will do. And some, you know, serious players, I guess, probably bot farms are doing that, I suppose. And I think the proposal is in some sense based on that. It's in some sense slicing at that, because if you're doing that, you're skipping some of these market makers, or you're skipping some of the percentages and the fees that would end up going elsewhere. And here it's saying, nope, not any longer. If you use one of those when no market is used, like when no user interface is being used, like no Peak Monsters, no whatever other market you're into is used, one of the the amount will go to Splinterlands. So I guess it means the 3.5 plus the 5 goes to Splinterlands. So that's revenue for the company, which is something we want. We want this company to thrive so that the game keeps going. Plus there's that, I'm sure the fee is incorporated in this number 4. So I'm saying this makes sense on every level. This makes sense on every level. Let's read some of the benefits quickly. All markets user interface will have incentive to develop tools. This I don't love. This makes it sound like, okay, so all markets will have incentive to list all different types of markets, renting, assets, lands, cards. Yeah, that's probably true. But I prefer free market solutions as opposed to incentivized solutions. But this is true. I do want more of the markets essentially, for instance, appealing to land sales or appealing to, in fact, right now it's really just Peak Monsters leading the way. And options are great. The DAO will receive 2% of all market transactions. We need that, guys. We need that. The DAO receiving increased funds can help reduce circulating supply of DEC and give the, because the 2% will be in the form of DEC. And so it'll reduce DEC that's on the marketplace. Ultimately, it's going to eventually be DEC we have to then spend because it's in the DAO. It's in our collective DAO wallet. We're going to want to spend it at some point, which means we need to sell on our own heads. But one thing I was thinking is at some point in the future, DEC will be back to PEG and we could burn it for SPS. And so that's one way we don't need to sell onto our own heads. And yet we could, you know, facilitate the deletion of DEC. So let's carry on. Decrease the circulating supply of DEC, helps the overall token price of Splinterlands. Yep, I agree with that. Yep, Flywheel, he mentions it there. Listing fee under the standard rate, 6% is no longer accepted. For example, bot sellers will no longer be able to sell for the 1% fee. See, it's like calling out the bots directly. See, I don't know how you say no to this unless you're running a bot farm. I mean, that's it. I don't know. You let me know in the comments below if I'm missing something. And I suspect there's going to be all kinds of salty comments because I'm far too for this. And you guys always want like some of you just, anyways, I just expect salt. So let's see what you got to say for me. But I can't understand why you would say no to this. This is exactly what we need. One, it is planning for the future. Two, it's providing an even playing field for all the different marketplaces. Three, it's actually deterring bots from like finding their own way to sell their cards and move their cards without the fees that are associated with it that we are all paying, but they have some sort of power and ability to exploit. And this game is supposed to be equal for bots and for players. I know it isn't, and that's a whole other conversation, but I'm saying this is one critical way, one thing we could do to move the needle toward more equity between, the bots that have access, the people who are running massive amounts of accounts, who understand how to, handle the code in ways that you and I can't, and thereby can save 4% on their fees. I mean, that's wild. So I'm just absolutely a resounding yes. And I learned about this through Gold Matters. Well, I saw the proposal pop up and I voted yes immediately. The percentage of yes was far lower when I said yes. It was like 40%. I was like, oh man, why are we saying no to this? We got 6 days left, so hopefully it grows and grows, and we keep the green momentum here. But this is awesome. See, Matt, Aggroed, Ali, as far as I'm concerned, they need to be able to say yes, no, or abstain whenever they see fit. Their SPS is just as good as my SPS, and I will stand by that comment. I love that he's saying yes because I support this proposal. If he was saying no, I would also say, oh man, I don't get why you're saying no, but man, that's SPS. That's the power of SPS. Decentralized governance. That's why I bought 69,000 more SPS today, because I see it as important. I want governance control. I want the ability to sway the vote. And so I love that he voted yes. I think this is an important proposal. I hope you guys appreciate that he's coming to bat for us, because I do think this is him coming to bat for us. This is one of the anti-bot measures in my mind. And second of all, it's actually a planning for the future, which is great. Third of all, it is planning to help the company in that way that we talked about with it, where when people are selling through non-markets or without a user interface, Splinterlands would get that value. But you can imagine that bots are no longer going to do that once this passes. Therefore, that little kickback to Splinterlands is not even really going to happen very much. They'll just end up listing on whatever market they'd prefer. And so in so doing, Splinterlands will never see that. But I love this proposal. I think this is deeply important. I hope you'll agree with me. And either way, I want to see comments below whether you agree with me or you hate this proposal. Thank you guys for your time and attention. And again, shout out to Splintercoach. Go check them out. 7-day trials are available. And I think you're going to love it. It's really fun to look at your data. Plus, I think it's going to help you extract more reward for your time and attention by identifying patterns that are helping you win. And then you can replicate those. Hey guys, have an amazing day. God bless.